thanks to the supporters of channel member Vebjorn Halas, whose name I've almost certainly butchered. I am sorry, but I mean, come on. We all knew I was going to get that one wrong. Here we go then, boys and girls. After the glorious survival, it was never in doubt. I'm very good at Football Manager. After surviving in the Championship comprehensively, convincingly, we now have our first summer as a Championship manager. That could be a game franchise. We're a manager in the Championship. I don't know how much money we're going to get. Presumably none. And let's go do some transfers. Hello and welcome to Club 2, Part 6 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and transfer special at Preston. I'm starting on a screen I don't normally start on because I can see the board set initial budgets thing is up there. So we're going to get the budgets before the season review. I feel like that's usually the other way around. And I can't go back to the home screen, so we had to see the budgets on there because I have finance on there. So that's why we're starting here. Don't worry. I haven't done anything with the squad planner. I know you perhaps might have looked at this and thought, he's gonna use the squad planner. No, it's there. Don't worry. We're ignoring it as usual. But what we are going to do is just give Courtney a pat on the head. I don't know who Jude Courtney is. And have a look at our budgets. Now, remember, we have basically no money. That's why we had to sell out our Premier League level goalkeeper. That's why we've had to sell all of our senior players and probably a few more on their way out the door. There is no money at the football club. They're losing money hand over fist. The guaranteed next season's transfer budget that we saw in yesterday's episode, I think, was about £38,000 in the Championship to do a rebuild. So I'm expecting nothing. If we get anything more than nothing, that's a bonus. If we get nothing and they haven't reduced my wage budget, I'll consider that a positive. So anything above that will be a major positive. And we have got, I mean, it does meet the definition of being a major positive. A £200,000 transfer budget. My wage budget has increased slightly because although we were below the previous budget for committed spending, the current spend was actually in the red before I hit continue. So we've had the wage budget increase a little as well. So if we were to put the wage budget back down to where it was, I think it was probably about there before, then that's over £1 million of spensies. So we can go one of two ways. And I think we're probably going to lean more towards putting as much of it as possible into wage budget, selling players. We get 70% of our transfer revenue is retained for new transfers. Focus on free transfers, focus on more promising young players, raid the smaller leagues like we were doing back in January. If we can find more players along the lines of Darlington and Hudson, although they haven't come in and set the world alight, Danny Hudson is still 18 years old. He had only just turned 18 when we signed him. So the fact that it's not been sensational. He's going to get better, though. Simon Darlington has been really good. He still is 17 and actually had a really good half of a season for us. So if we can find more players like that, because the two of them came in for a combined price of absolutely nothing, that's the kind of player that we're targeting. Or these transfer listed bargains from bigger clubs like Owen Beck, £55,000 we paid for Owen Beck. Another lovely old signing. And we have got quite a few players already due to come in as well. We've got our super expensive 18-year-old striker who we've spent a stupendous amount of money on. I haven't, because I'm recording the videos in advance a little bit because it's Christmas, I haven't seen the comments for the video where I signed him. I assume you've all slaughtered me for spending £2.5 million on him. I hope he's brilliant. He better be brilliant. And we've also got, we've got these, that defender coming in from Newcastle and a bunch of Premier League youngsters who may or may not be good. We're going to learn a lot about how good our scouts are because all 5 of these scouted with 5-star potential, came in on trial and showed us having 5-star potential. If they turn up and they're 3-star potential players, everyone's getting fired. So we have already got the basis of a great rebuild up and running. Scho and Holzhauser are already leaving the club, and we have other players that we want rid of as well. The likes of, Andrew Hughes is out of contract. Robbie Brady is out of contract. So straight away, that's £23,000 being added to our wage budget to get rid of 2 left backs with a combined age of 70 nearly. So that's a huge bonus for us. And then there's other players that we want rid of. Bambo Diaby, despite that glorious hat-trick, we've got lots of defenders and more coming in. He's a 2.5-star player at 28 years old. We can bin him off. Brad Potts at 31. We could potentially get a decent fee for him. He's valued at £2.5 million. We can get £1 million for Brad Potts. I'll be delighted. Sean Maguire at 32. If we can get £500,000 for him, I'm delighted. Liam Lindsay, 30 years old, valued at 2.7 million. If we can get a couple of million for him, I'll be. Ryan Fredericks, 33 years old, valued at 1.5. You get the idea. There's a lot of older players that we're going to look to sell to give us a little bit of spensies as well. So we're certainly going to be looking on that side of things. And then with regard to what we need, I mean, the whole squad needs a refresh. Obviously, we are going to have to be bringing in players to replace the ones that are leaving. So if we're losing the likes of Potts and Fredericks and whoever else we've got as our senior players, we're going to have to bring in replacements for them. We probably need to bring in a proper goalkeeper now. Saidi was he got the job done, only conceding 34 goals in 16 appearances. He was cheap, and that was important at the time. But now, hopefully, we can upgrade our goalkeeper a little bit. We have got the core of a good team. Obviously, Adam Eder is good. And I think Adam Eder with a full season is a 30-goal a season striker in the Championship. He only got 20 in 42 appearances last year, but his first 20, he didn't score. So he's scored at nearly a goal a game since I've come in. So Eder is crucial to build the attack around. The likes of Woodburn, Hudson, the youngster Suanrat. We've got some decent attacking players. I think this 4-3-3 has got potential. With McCann and Whiteman, we've got a solid base in midfield that we can just maybe add a Holtzhauser replacement, a more attacking player in there, and then just add some depth in at the back and a proper goalkeeper. And I think it's a solid mid-table team, which presumably is what the board will be looking for. Have we? I don't think we've discussed this yet. I mean, at the moment, the plan is just to avoid relegation next year again, which I'm certain we're going to do that. So I think we're probably going to be fine. What I'm waiting for now is the season review, which is where we normally start these videos. We've done everything in reverse order. I've already told you my plan before we've even seen a season review. I'm continuing to hit continue, and there is still no season review. Do they still exist? Have we been getting them at Peterborough Sport? There we go. Season review. Talking to Peterborough Sports, we will check in on them as well to see how they got on after I left. But our season review at Preston. Let's start off looking at who the signing of the season is. Simon Darlington. He only started 7 games, but genuinely don't see how it could go to anybody else. I have rarely seen a player that we've been able to pluck from such obscurity. The fact we did this twice in one window shows the strength of the scouting network that this club already had, because Darlington and Hudson must have already been on their radar, because I'd had maybe 2 or 3 weeks at the club before these two were on my scout reports. There's no way I can take too much credit for these, but that is an incredible signing. A free transfer for a 17-year-old who's already shown that kind of value, has that kind of potential, and turned in that level of performance, aged 17. This guy's going one of 2 ways. Either he's sold to a Premier League club inside a year, or at 23, he's our captain and we're in the Premier League. Either way, quality business. And there's plenty of other similar kind of structure of signings. We very much had a plan and a theme back in January, which was to bring in players a lot younger and a lot cheaper than what we already had, and really try and look for bargains that will either be able to be sold on for a profit in the future, or be players who can grow with us and eventually become first team stars for us. We didn't really bring in anybody to come in, and that's why the recovery was slower than it might have been. We didn't really bring in any nailed on first team starters because we didn't have the money to, and that might be a theme again this summer. So we need some of these guys who came in back in January to start stepping up. I'm looking at the likes of Hudson, needs to offer a little bit more to us in the new season. Hopefully with a pre-season under his belt, he will. I think it's telling of how good Simon Darlington is that Adam Eder actually signed just before I came in as well in this last summer and didn't win signing of the season. Shows how good Simon Darlington is doing. On the subject of Adam Ida, by the way, I've had a few people in the comments section saying, why are you saying Ida rather than Ida? Because I said Ida in episode 1 and everyone told me it was Ida. I looked it up. Apparently it's Ida. So I'm going to say Ida. Don't like it. I mean, just imagine I'm saying Ida. It's not that deep, boys and girls. So we were supposed to attempt to avoid relegation from the Championship. We went one better than attempting to avoid it. We attempted it and succeeded in avoiding relegation from the Championship, finishing in 21st place, 4 points clear of Millwall. 'Twas never in doubt. An average attendance of 15,000 gives us some growth room there, that's for sure. We know Deepdale is a lovely stadium, having visited it last week. Now we need to start moving towards trying to fill it. And we also know the finances at this club are a bit of a problem. We're not bringing in enough money to fund the players that we already had. So we need some of these numbers to start increasing, which, I mean, it's a very similar story to the one I was telling at Peterborough Sports. We could really do with a big cup run, or we're just going to have to carry on being a selling club. Obviously, selling Freddie Woodman was an example of the kind of thing that we might have to do going forward just to keep the club afloat financially, which does then put the likes of Darlington and Ida in jeopardy as long-term players, because as soon as we start getting £5 million plus offers for these players we were bringing in for not very much, we're going to have to start taking them very seriously just to keep the finances moving in the right direction. That was your team of the season. So Woodman in goal, who of course is no longer here and needs replacing. A back four of Beck, Lindsay, O'Brien and Fredericks. Show, who is also leaving, behind McCann and Holtzhauser, who is also leaving. And then O'Neill behind Ida and Woodburn. So the core of a decent team. Obviously, it's pretty clear where we need to make replacements, and we will be working on that later on in this video. The player awards, Adam Ida wins Player of the Year. O'Brien, just a year younger at 24, somehow wins Young Player of the Year, despite single-handedly derailing our season. Simon Darlington, we know, is signing of the season. Goal of the season goes to Fredericks. Top scorer is Ida. Most assists, Holtzhauser with just 5. We really need a creative player in midfield. 5 assists. Our top assist maker is not close to good enough. Ben Woodburn, most man of the matches with 4, and Ida got the top average rating. We also broke our own club record. Obviously, club record asterisk. These are club records since the start of the save. For most goals in a season, Ida with 20, which he will beat again next year if he's still here. Bambo Diaby with his hat-trick is currently in the club records as most goals scored in a match. And Ryan Fredericks, oldest goal scorer. That's a record that's going to stand for a while. It's going to be a long time before we have a player as old as him in our team again. Dynamic manager timeline is Bobbins, so we're not going to look too much at that. And I love the fact that the all-time best 11 is a dirty old flat back 7. That, if I achieve one thing and one thing only here at Preston, it's to turn that into something that doesn't look that hideous, because that is just filth. Right, what have we got going on here? We've added some more social media followers, which is lovely to see. Club vision for next season. They want me to once again avoid relegation from the Championship. I think that's very achievable. The board culture is to carry on signing young players under the age of 23 for the first team. That's why I got the job in the first place, because that's what I'd been doing at Peterborough Sports. It's interesting to see they're disappointed in me doing it, because that's exactly what... Have they seen Darlington? Have they seen Hudson? I mean, what? I don't understand the problem here. We'll really focus in on that this summer, but that seems weird and glitchy. We've got to carry on working within the wage budget, try and use our own youth system, try and grow reputation, all the standard stuff. And yeah, as mentioned, we've got to sell players before we can buy. We already know that. We've seen the budgets, and try and minimize old men knocking around the club. We're rebuilding this club in a new form to be all about youth development and developing players for the future, and anything else that includes the word development, developing photographs. For anyone old enough to remember developing photographs? I hope there is, or else I'll be terrified. And where is avoid relegation? There you go. We can avoid relegation. That's cheered everybody up. And that should be that for this set of screens. The job now, because we've got no money, is to start selling the players we don't want, making sure the players who are running out of contract get gone. I don't think there's much in the way of contracts to renew. I think we did a lot of that over the course of last season. We already know who we're building this team around. So I'm going to go away and try and sell those players we've already identified, get us a little bit of a budget together. I don't really want to spend the budget before the 1st of July, Because 1st of July, of course, we get the free transfers, both with the youngsters coming out of bigger teams and more established players at our level that we might be able to nick 1 or 2 of for problem positions. And I want to have as much wage budget as possible available for that. And then after we've done free transfers, we'll plug gaps by spending any transfer budget we've got left. And then the very last thing after all of that, plug any remaining gaps with loans. That's the plan. Whether we stick to that or not, I don't know. I imagine what's going to happen now is we're going to do one of my fancy little transitions, come back, and I'm going to show you the 3 strikers I've just bought and spent all the budget. I have seen these videos before. I expect that to be what's going to happen. One other thing, of course, I did promise you a look at Peterborough Sports. So Peterborough Sports replaced me as manager with Dave Robertson, formerly one of the worst managers in the history of Peterborough United. Came through as a youth coach, was part of the posh youth setup for many, many years, was really quite good at that, but was terrible as our manager, ended up getting sacked really very quickly, ended up with Sligo Rovers, Sligo, I don't know how you say it, in Ireland. It looks like he then spent a little bit more time in Ireland, then was away from the game for a while, went to Aldershot, where I guess he failed because he had 3 years out of work, and he's now manager of Peterborough Sports. Bless him, he's found his level. Sports themselves did all right, finished 14th in the National League, which is pretty much where you would expect that team to finish, I think. Nothing too spectacular, not in any danger of getting relegated, not in any danger of getting promoted. The real travesty is that Jimmy Dean is still unemployed and probably should have got the job back there ahead of Robertson. And Modou Fall scored 15 goals. Isn't that nice? Wanted by Bradford now. So things are going all right for Sports. I imagine they'll just be a solid mid-table team until they get relegated and then we forget they exist. Bless their cotton socks. I took them as far as I could. I mean, that's quite handy. Our chairman has just invested £9 million into the club, which is very handy indeed. I feel like this is cause for celebration and asking for things. Right, what do I want more of? Can we have transfer revenue increased, please? And what else can we ask for? I guess we don't need to. I guess let's have some facilities. Why not? Spend the money. Spend it all. There we go. I don't know if he's going to do any of that. Bambo Diaby's just turned down an offer to leave the club, by the way. No, none of the other players that we wanted rid of got attracted any offers. We got an offer from Burton Albion for Diaby, and he turned the move down. So this could be a long, slow summer of trying to get rid of these players that we don't want. I don't know who this guy is, but he's got a slip disc, which I know from experience hurts. So he can go and see the specialist, and hopefully they'll unslip his disc for him, because I wouldn't wish a slip disc on anybody. It's very sore. Are we getting a reply about these facilities we've asked for? Or is the chairman just ignoring me because he knows that I'm just trying to be an opportunistic scumbag? Are we going to get any kind of response? Come on, give us the response now. It's thinking. Any moment we get the response. He's having a good long think. And hold on. Nope. Yay! We've got 85% of that. I mean, that was the one I wanted more than anything. That's the one that actually has an impact on this summer's rebuild. So that's good. I don't know who that is. But yeah, 85% of transfer revenue retained. That's handy. If we can sell anyone, that would be really handy. Oh, we've got an Adam Eder problem. I've just had a media thing alerting me to the fact he has a £6.5 million release clause and Mallorca are interested in him. So I've tried to go in and renegotiate his contract to remove the release clause. He's on £13,500 a week. That's the most I'm allowed to offer him. He wants £28,500 a week. Even if I think we're losing Adam Eder this summer. Oh, I mean, that does complicate things. I mean, yeah. Anyone hitting that release clause, and he's done. Although we do have a contract extension clause on there, which I know in previous versions of FM, once the clause is triggered, you could hit that and glitch the game. Which, of course, we wouldn't do in Non-League to Legend. That would be naughty. Do we want to keep him, though? Setting records wherever we go. This is a proud moment, everybody. Right, our pre-arranged transfers are in, and I'm already seeing that Dominik Sunjic isn't the 5-star current ability player. I never thought he'd be that. We've brought him in because he's 18 and he's got huge potential. Let's start with him. Dominik Sunjic, Croatian under-19 international, young striker, 2.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. We've spent a total of 2.4 million on him, which is ridiculous and huge. But he has come in with a value that just about justifies that. He's not the same kind of bargain as we got with the likes of Hudson and Darlington, but at 18 years old with some decent pace, he is, I mean, he'll be all right. He'll be a good, potentially Premier League player. There you go. So he'll be fine. I mean, a front three of him on the right, Ida up front and Hudson on the left, that could do us for the next 5 years or so. The other one of these that we've spent money on is Maxim Paskotsi, 43-year-old Estonian international who actually seems to think my staff seem to think he's better as a right back than a centre back. I would suggest he is a centre back, which is certainly what we've signed him to do. He comes in as the best right back at the club. That's because we don't really have another first team age. I mean, we've got Darlington, but no one else of an age to be your first team starting right back. And he's better than everyone apart from O'Brien at centre back. He's previously of Newcastle, but has had loans out at several championship teams over the last several years. So he comes in to replace any number of the defenders that we're looking to get rid of. And then we've got the gambles, the freebies from Premier League clubs. Any of these that are still showing actual 5-star potential, that's a good thing. So Ben Hjard is a 18-year-old striker who only has 3.5-star potential. He's from Manchester City. We've got Ollie Percival, who is 4.5. You know what? That's close. This is the one who was described, Peterborough Sports on him on loan. This is the one that was described as a similar type of player to Virgil van Dijk. Now a similar type of player to Maxim Paskotsi. I mean, that's something of a downgrade. I've just seen the value that Paskotski's come in with. That's got to be a good thing. But yeah, that's promising. Still 17 years old as well. Quite happy to send him out on loan to Sports for the season as well, for a little bit of development. Joshua Kwarteng, 4.5-star of potential as a winger from Manchester City. That I'm not upset with 4.5 stars. Rudy Zambrano, 4.5 stars. Portuguese under 20 international, who's a potential future championship player in from Leicester. And then finally, Jamie Hislop, 4.5 stars. You know what? We've done all right there. Bunch of young players. I mean, that's got to go a long way towards satisfying that goal the board have given me for signing young players, which isn't a goal anymore, apparently. Oh, no, there it is. There it is. And now they are pleased. What did that say? Pleased. Definite positive. There's still room for it to improve. We've just signed a whole bunch of kids. Goodness me. But that is the youngsters in. We still haven't managed to sell anybody yet. So there's still going to be players on their way out. We don't have any wage budget. There's a little bit of budget ready for the 1st of July, but we really now need to double down on trying to force out the older players that we don't want anymore to make room for even more new young players to come in. Ida's still here at the moment, which is definitely a positive. We've not had to get rid of him yet, although I am still very wary of that release clause that he's got and the fact that he wants all that extra money. Oh dear, he's our record signing. Most expensive player in 26 years. I'm not necessarily planning on starting him straight away. The fans will be questioning some things. I can already see the Preston forums in my mind. Why do we have to sell Woodman if we can go and spend 2.5 million on a young kid, an untried kid? It's a very valid point. Oh, that one better work. I'm going to look like a silly goose. There we go, boys and girls. We've signed a grown-up goalkeeper, Lee Nichols. He is 33 years old, but you balance that out with the fact he's 6'5" and has lots of championship experience. He did play for McDonald's for many years, and we will hold that against him. But most recently, he's been at Huddersfield in the championship for 5 years. First choice there until presumably losing his starting spot midway through last season. Or did he get an injury? Let's have a look. Let's try and work out why he's not Huddersfield's first choice. Oh, he was first choice towards the end of the season. So I'm guessing he just had an injury last season, which has kept him out for... Nope, no idea why he didn't play for half of last season. I guess they brought someone in on loan. We don't need to know. Are you happy now? We have a proper goalkeeper. This is going to be progress. And as the fans have said, could be a perfect replacement for Freddie Woodman, who left 7 months ago. Oh dear. We've got a goalkeeper, everybody. And we need to fiddle with the budgets already. We have sold Diaby though. Diaby has gone for £200,000. So slowly but surely we're there you go. He went to St Mirren. There's Diaby's transfer. Slowly but surely, 11 more days until July. We are struggling to get rid of anybody. Nobody wants our old men for some reason. Our old expensive men. I can't think why nobody wants to buy them. These old men are on so much money that even Moneybags Wrexham, who are in the Championship, by the way, even Moneybags Wrexham can't offer Ryan Fredericks enough money to convince him to leave Preston and go to Wrexham, which is really annoying. I want some money to spend on the 1st of January, 1st of July, not the 1st. I'll have some in January too. I want some money for the 1st of July. And at the moment, we don't have any. Well, that problem looks like it's about to be solved. Ali McCann, who is a player I would like to keep around. However, he's out of contract next summer. And we've spoken to... Oh, mind you, we've got a trigger contract extension. Does potentially change things. Because we just tried to offer him a new contract and he wanted... His agent was like, well, he wants between £25,000 and £35,000 a week, which obviously we can't do. However... we can do that. Let's trigger his contract extension, which might allow us to get more money out of Watford. I'm not against selling him because, A, there's lots of big clubs who want him, so he's going anyway. We're not going to be able to keep him against those kind of clubs. But I do think we can maximise how much money we can get from him. We've got Ben Whiteman at the club who can play the exact same positions. The way we're going to be lining up, I'm thinking we have either McCann or Whiteman there with new midfielders ahead. So I am thinking in terms of, I don't want to ask for too much money. Right, let's see how much he thinks would be too much. Is 15 million too much? Come on, we're basically negotiating with his agent now, chatting with his agent and working out how much we think is a fair price for him. 9.75 million. No, we don't want to confirm those changes. What we do want to do is come here and say, can we have £9.75 million, please, Watford? And we're keeping 85% of that. Now I really hope my silly nonsense of triggering his extension doesn't wreck that deal, because that's like £7 or £8 million to spend. As much as he's a key player for us, like I've said before in one of the earlier episodes since we've been at Preston, everybody's for sale. There is not one player at the club worth keeping if there's £10 million on the table. Not one single player. I am worried that by triggering his contract extension, it's going to cancel that out though. So we're just going to check on that. By the way, we're signing Tabith Chong. He's coming in on a free transfer from Birmingham. I bet that's cancelled the deal. It hasn't. So we've done his contract extension, which is good because if he now turns that down, we've got him for 2 years and he's a great player and that's fine. We can use him, but we've potentially got £10 million coming in, which is also really good. Both of those good things. Ben Whiteman has signed a contract extension to be the guy who sits at the base of the midfield. This is all starting to come together. Chong, there you go. He's coming in on a free transfer, 26 years old. He could be the creative central midfielder, the Holtzhauser replacement, or he could play on either wing for us. I'm not sure what we're going to do with him yet. He was a free transfer and seems like a bit of a bargain. So he is coming in. And now we just need to see if McCann goes. Really, we want him to rush out the door before the 1st of July so that we can go into the 1st of July with that money. We don't want the money to come in after all the good free transfers have gone. We'll take it if that's how it lines up, but we would like it sooner. Well, it is the 1st of July. We've not started doing 1st of July business yet, but we are having confirmation of pre-existing business. So there's Holzhauser leaving for 1.9 million. The fans are sad. There's Show leaving, who is actually away at the World Cup, although to be fair, he's probably done being at the World Cup now. He was away at the World Cup briefly. He was, I mean, I wish he wasn't going, but he was another one of those who we couldn't offer enough money for his contract renewal. So he left before we could offer him enough money. So he has gone as well. There's your confirmation that Chong is now a Preston player. I think that is a very good signing. Let's just do all of the correct button pressing, and then we can have a little look at Chong, 26 years old, can play anywhere in the attack, even as a DM. I doubt we're going to use him there. He's most likely to be that Holzhauser role coming out of central midfield or playing on one of the wings, but it really depends on what else we can bring in. But I think he is a solid attacking base for us to have in the squad. Not that he's been particularly spectacular in League One for Birmingham, but he'll be good. He'll be fine. We still can't get rid of the rest of these players that we're trying to get rid of. And who is Alan Graham? No idea. Is there anything else in here that we need to be aware of before we go and try and get some free transfers in? We've got a player called Monty as well, apparently. There's Alan, Mr. Two First Names, Alan Graham. And that seems to be it for, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to, it's the 1st of July. Obviously I'm going to register him. And yes, we can put these guys on the loan list. And yes, Nguisa is now our backup goalkeeper. He'll be fine. Look at him. Not very happy. What's he going to do, eh? We've signed a better one. Right, it is 1st of July. Then we haven't got the money we hoped we were going to have. And we are still waiting for McCann to presumably just sign for Watford. I can't imagine there's any reason why he would turn Watford down. They're going to offer him the money that he wants. None of the other lot have decided to leave yet, though. So we're on a limited budget initially. We can put as much of this over into wage budget as we can. And we've effectively got, at this level, 1 or 2 players worth of wage budget for now. So we're going to need to be selective and work out what we actually need. And if we look at our squad depth, we've dealt with the goalkeeper situation. We have a serious shortage at left back. So we need to bring a new left back in over the top of Owen Beck. If we work on the assumption that Fredericks and Potts are both leaving, they haven't gone yet, but I'm hoping they're both leaving. We probably need to bring somebody in over the top of Darlington. Pascozzi's not going to play right back. Pilato is not ready yet. Darlington, I want to keep in the first team squad, but not necessarily as a nailed-on starter every week. So we need fullbacks on either side. We're fine at centre-back. We've got 4 decent centre-backs, although if someone wants to take Liam Lindsay off our hands at 30 years old on big money and out of contract next summer, he's another one out of contract next summer, wants way more money than he's on now to stick around. And at 30, we're just not going to give it to him. So he's probably going. So we probably need right back, left back, centre back. If McCann goes, we've only really got Whiteman to play here. I'm getting rid of Aidan Steele as well, hopefully. So assuming McCann goes, we also need a defensive midfielder. And then for our box-to-box midfielder, again, assuming Potts goes, we don't really have anybody. So we need somebody to play there. I think Chong probably is going to live there, but we need a backup to him. So we need 2 or 3 midfield players. And then on the left wing, I think we're good. We've got Woodburn, we've got Hudson. Maguire will hopefully be leaving. Silko Thomas will now be back and at a club where we're playing with wingers. So he's going to be a backup for us there as well. So we're fine on the left wing. Right wing, we've obviously got Suanrat, we've got Hudson, and we've got the new boy Sunjic who can play out there as well. So I think we're fine on the right wing. And if Adam Eder stays, we're fine up front as well. Eder is the starter. And then any one of Chong, Woodburn, Hudson, Sunjic, O'Neill can all play there as well. So I think in the attack, we're fine, but we need, and in goal, we're now fine, having brought in Nichols, but we need 3 new defenders and probably 3 new midfielders. We don't have the money to do that yet, which is why we need to sell McCann. Let's see what we can find for free. I'm about to show you the 2 strikers we sign on free transfers. Well, I've just done my usual ask the director of football for recommendations for free transfers, and rather alarmingly, they're all old men. This might be more of a challenge than usual. Obviously, we'll have a look at the ones that have previously been scouted as well. But after joking about it, the only ones we've ever scouted before that are of a sensible age are the 3 strikers. And anyone who's watched my Twitch save this year or the home save a few years ago will know just how much I now want to sign Micah Beerith. We can't bring in another striker, surely. Oh, and by the way, I know I've moaned about this before, so to give you an update on the fact that it now actually works, the squad planner automatically includes the trialists now, so we can see who the good ones are, that is huge. It didn't do this when the game first came out, and now we can... I mean, there's another guy we've had on Twitch this year, and I mean, he's better than the guy we've just spent money on, Lee Nichols. It wouldn't hurt to have a second goalkeeper come in. And again, in here as well, Beerith, Hurst, Traore. I mean, Beerith would be the logical one because he's the youngster with potential, whereas these two are a little bit older. But then Hurst and Traore can both play on either wing. We don't need attackers, but I mean, there's very slim pickings in the defensive positions that we actually do need players for. This guy looks quite good. I imagine he's quite expensive. Would he even get a work permit? In fact, he's played 4 games, six games of international football. He's probably a current South African international, so he might well get a work permit. But there's a few boys here who are going to get some contract offers. He definitely is. I can't not. Well, Micah Beerith wants £44,500 a week and a £1 million signing on fee. So, I mean, that dream was nice while it lasted, but we're not getting Micah Beerith. Is that going to be a theme of all these boys? Can we afford anybody? Right, we are really struggling to bring anybody in. Everybody wants loads of money. Weirdly, we were able to offer some of them up to £25,000 a week, which we're not able to offer Ida. It won't let me offer Ida more than £13,000 a week. And we've promised him we'll give him a new contract. He is potentially in a grumpy. But as you just saw, we have now sold Ali McCann to Watford for just shy of £10 million. So, fingers crossed, with that having gone through, we should now be able to offer Ida the money that he wants. Why won't you let me put that in the wage budget? I'm going to have to withdraw the offers for the players that we are still trying to get, which is only 2. Ridiculously, we can give him 24 grand, but we can't give that to Ida. I mean, he is good. He's going to slot straight into our central midfield. And then we've got this guy who's a defender/defensive midfielder. We'd like both of them, please. But I need to be able to offer Ida a new deal in the next 5 days, or else he's going to be grumpy. That's a problem. Well, a slight problem with selling a player for £10 million in order to be able to do a contract renewal. Adam Eder seemed to know about it, and his agent has just bent me over a barrel, and we've just agreed to a new contract at £35,500 a week because he wouldn't agree to anything lower. We have removed any potential release clauses, though, so I think it's safe to say we've secured Adam Eder, a 30-goal-a-season championship striker for next season, which is a huge signing for us. It does mean there's very little left in the budget, despite the big transfer going through. However, okay, there's wiggling to be done now. And if you knew me in real life, you would know how much I love to wiggle. So I think we'll do that for now. I think the only one we're getting in is Moreno. We weren't able to get anyone else from that big bunch of trials. But if Moreno comes in, how do we... See, the trials are all still on here. Oh, they are still at the club. We weren't able to offer him a deal. Can we now offer him a deal? I wanted him before, but we couldn't offer him a deal. Oh, we're going back through the list. There might be more, because we ran out of money before, but now we've got money again. I love money. Well, we're not getting Moreno because his work permit has been declined, so we won't appeal against that. We're trying to bring another wave of trialists in, but running into the whole they're not getting work permits problem. They all want too much money or won't get a work permit. Micah Beer, if we went back in again, he wants £60,000 a week, which seems excessive, if you ask me. Really quite excessive. Well, one positive amongst all this transfer frustration, we have our McCann replacement. Harvey White is in from Tottenham. No, Birmingham. I thought he was at Tottenham still. He's at Tottenham originally, isn't he? previously been on loan with Preston, which I didn't even notice when we were scouting him. He's been at Birmingham, so he'll know Chong. He's £875,000 with potential increases in the future, but he's a 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential central midfielder who can also play as the deep line playmaker. He just slots in as the direct replacement in the squad for McCann. So at least we're not a player down in midfield now. If we go back into the good old squad planner, which I love so much, that's still full of these players that we can't sign, you'll see that White would be the first choice at the base of the midfield and pretty much first choice everywhere. So Harvey White, bit of an upgrade in midfield. We are still trying to bring in these two. They're asking for crazy money and they probably won't get work permits, but we'll keep trying with them until we can't get them anymore. And then we'll go back to the drawing board again and continue trying to spend some of this McCann money, which at the moment we've just poured it all into the wage budget and given most of it to Adam Eder, who has signed his new contract. Tell you what, he better get 30 goals this season for earning that kind of money. We're building the entire team around him. Well, the guy we were going to spend loads of money on, who looked like he was going to be great, didn't get a work permit. So he's not coming either. We have got a couple of loans that we're trying to bring in now. Jamie Rocker from Watford on loan for the season as a midfielder / defender, and Moritz Schaefer, who would be left back and centre back, 6'6" left back, exactly my kind of thing. So hopefully we'll get those two in. It feels early to be moving for loans, but we are really struggling to find anybody. I'm going back in for Micah Beereth again. I'm going to keep trying. I really want him because stop asking for so much money. What is wrong with you? He will be great, but oh my word, that's so much money. Do we leave these things on? £1.2 million signing on fee. Right, you can't have that. I don't mind that. I guess if we bring him in, he's great. We sell him for 12 million. I can get on board with that. The 20% sell on is upsetting, but remember, this is an Adam Eder quality player. We'll basically have two strikers of very similar quality, both earning huge money, but both valued around £10 million. So it's probably not the worst thing we could do. He's coming in on a free, so you basically call that 20% of his sell-on, which is like, let's say 2 million, plus the 1 point. So we're basically paying £3 million for him, but at the end, we can't sign anybody else. We may as well spend the money on somebody. He is very good. Do a comparison between him and Eder. It would be lovely to have both of them. Really lovely. Forget the fact I spent all that money on this kid. He's going to play central midfield or right wing. He'll be fine. He was never a striker anyway. He's a winger. Didn't you know he was always a winger? We do still need fullbacks, especially a left back because Owen Beck is currently injured. Ryan Fredericks and Brad Potts are still here. We definitely need fullbacks. We've got that left back hopefully coming in on loan, who can also cover at centre back. Fleurs isn't coming in now, so we can take him off of here. Right, we're not signing him. He's just coming on trial. Steele is still here. I really want rid of Steele, but now he's injured. It becomes harder to get rid of him. Chong's not going to play there, but those two plus Steele as a real... That's fine. And then if you look in the midfielder, he's not going to be here. He's not going to play. He's not going to play. Sunjic actually might play there. Woodburn might play there. We're still relying on Potts. Potts is a box-to-box midfielder. He did have that really good game last season. Maybe we keep Potts around. Give him one more year. And then, again, those two aren't going to play. He's not going to play there. We probably still need another midfielder. We didn't get him. He's gone to Blackburn, which is annoying. But Hudson on the right, I can live with, or Sunjic could be out there. And then Chong on the left, or in midfield with Woodburn playing the other role. And then Eder or Beereth up top with Woodburn and Sunjic and Hudson and Chong all playing in the other attack. It makes a lot of sense. It would work. It's a good-looking squad. We just need to continue to plug those gaps that have been there all summer long. Where's the McCann money gone? On wages for our 2 strikers, who I'd like to point out will only play 1 at a time. Oh, my word. Right, we do have those 2 loans in. So Moritz Schaefer, left back / centre back, 6'6" left back. Love it. He will play there and it will be glorious. And we've also got Jamie Rocha, could be anything, can play anywhere up the middle here in the roles we'd like him to play as well. He's a playmaker or ball playing defender. I think I'm going to really like this guy. He's also on loan for the season as well. So that's another body that we've got there for central midfield. Micah Beereth is now looking less likely because as soon as we actually finally agreed a contract with him after 3 weeks of him being in and out on trial and offering him dozens of contracts, he declined. As soon as we actually agreed a contract with him, Stoke and Sheffield United have both come in as well. So I assume he's going to go to one of them. I mean, he was on loan at Stoke last season. So he's been on loan at Stoke twice. He's played like 75 games for Stoke. So I think it's fairly certain that boy is off to Stoke, it's upsetting. But our midfield is taking shape now with White, Chong, Rocha, Whiteman. I've taken Brad Potts off the transfer list for now. He might go back on. Now we're just kind of waiting on Micah Beereth. If we don't get him, we dip back in again and see what else we can do. If we do get him, we're close to done. If we keep Fredericks and Potts, and it doesn't look like we can get rid of them, so they're both on decent salaries. So if we can't get rid of them, we may as well reintegrate them back in the squad. And Fredericks and Potts give us that right back cover that we wanted because they can both play there. Potts can play midfield. And we're kind of done as a squad then if we do that. There's still a few we'd like to get rid of, like that guy who doesn't seem to want to leave, which is very sad. Please leave. I don't have any room for you. I'm looking at Jared Branthwaite, though, thinking he can play anywhere across the back 4, and he's 6'5". See, I was hoping he'd be loan list, not transfer list. Everton have just got promoted back to the Premier League. We can't pay £48,000 a week to loan him. I don't think we're going to be... Well, I mean, obviously, we can't buy him for £14 million, so he's not an option. That might be why I'm having such a frustrating summer, because my scouts are constantly showing me players we can't even really get. Right, Grimsby, if you want Fredericks, you're going to have to pay mega money for him, which you're not going to do, but there you go, at least. And I mean, why are clubs offering to take these players without any wage contribution? It's ridiculous. These 2 have been on the transfer list all summer. I took them off yesterday, and now we get offers for them. This game baffles me sometimes. It really does. Right, let's get them back into the squad. That's fine. And now we just wait for Beereth to see what he wants to do. Adam Eder, by the way, is second favourite to be top scorer in the division. That came through a couple of days ago. Media preview-wise, he's not in the media 11, but he is considered our best player. There he was. He was there somewhere. I definitely saw some blue. There he is. He's in there. We're considered 17th on the odds, which we'd take that. That would be fine. I don't think we're going to be looking to push for promotion this year. Liam Lindsay, I think we probably do give a new contract to. He's another one that we offered out a lot. No one seemed to want him. So if we can offer him a contract where he's not going to want too much money, then we keep him around for another year. See, that is the definition of too much money. He's 30 years old. He's obviously seen what... In fact, I'll leave that on. If we take that down to 2 years and try and push him down a little bit. I don't want to give you a 3-year contract. You can have a 2-year contract and you can have a slight pay rise. But we're going to take that out. There you go. Do that. Then you're not having a contract then, are you? And there we have the confirmation that Micah Beereth has gone to Stoke, probably for the best, because it was an utterly ridiculous signing for us to try and do anyway. But there you go. There's your demonstration of why we wanted to do it. Because that's how you keep a club like us afloat. By bringing in players for free that have then got that kind of value. But no Beereth for us, which does mean we're back to having a big pile of money to spend, because we can put some of that back that way. Yeah, we can put the budget to like there. And now we've got £1.5 million to spend. We don't necessarily need anything, which is a weird thing to say when we've not done loads of transfers this summer. We need to take Beereth off of there because he's no longer here. But It's a strong squad. The new midfielders are making a big difference. White, Chong and Rocker in midfield, with Whiteman still in there, with a couple of other of the boys still knocking around, like Woodburn, like Potts. I think the midfield is completely revolutionised. The attack didn't really need it. Corbineau is not here. I think Eder up front, Chong on the left, and maybe Hudson on the right, or Woodburn on the left, with Chong in midfield. The defence is upgraded with Pascozzi, with Schaefer. Obviously, we've improved the goalkeeper with Nichols. And this tactic had started to work by the end of the season as well, with lesser players. So I think this is probably a mid-table team. But we have still got a little bit of spensies. There's still loans to look at. There's still the potential to bring in a player or two, because we haven't done a lot yet. We haven't been able to, partly because we've not been able to sell very much. We've only had Holtz. I mean, Holtzhauser was pre-arranged. The only player we've really been able to sell is Ali McCann, who we didn't want to sell. We've not been able to get rid of anyone on that list of players we wanted shot of. Getting rid of old players, much harder than it usually is in Football Manager. Liam Lindsay might be leaving on loan. We've had, who is it who's offered? Millwall have offered to pay his full salary. So he might be leaving, and I don't know that we'll bother replacing him, because let's say he goes. We've already got, Darlington won't play there, but Schaefer and Rocker can both play there. So I think we're probably okay with those as a 5. Unless we find someone really good. So I don't mind Lindsay just leaving, but that then frees up another £12,000 a week of salary. The season starts in a week, so we might be going into the season with this and keeping our powder dry for deadline day, where you can usually pick up some bargains. So unless we see someone fantastic in the next couple of days, that's probably it for transfers on this video. And we wait for bargain shopping in a month's time. And no bargains or superstars emerged, so we haven't made any more transfers going into the first day of the new season. Of course, we are away against Stoke, which means Micah Beerith in the next episode is going to score a hat-trick against us just to show us what we could have won. But this is the team we're going in with. And I actually think, despite a relatively not much going on kind of summer, I mean, we've made a £10 million transfer profit and you wouldn't know it. Preston's one of those clubs, it seems. And we've brought in a couple of defenders, a couple of midfielders. We didn't really need anyone attacking wise. But I think we've made the key changes to make this look into a really solid team. It is interesting that 2 of the players we spent all summer trying to get rid of are going to be starting, because the only way we were going to upgrade them was if we could sell them. And because we couldn't sell them, we couldn't bring in the upgrades for them. So we're going to have to use them. So Fredericks and Potts will both start. But I think that, as an 11, is definitely an upgrade on what we were doing for most of last season. Woodburn, Eder and Chong as a front 3, I think is great. White, I think is going to be excellent for us. Whiteman back in front of the back 4. That's not going to get confusing. And then Pascozzi, of course, as a new guy. Nichols as the upgrading goal. And we've still got the strength in depth from the loanees, Rocker and Schaefer, sat down on the bench as well. Plus, our awesome youngsters, the likes of O'Neill, who was here when we first arrived. Last year's starting keeper sat on the bench. Darlington, Sunjic, Hudson are all still 18 years old. Thomas, I think, is 18. Thomas is 22. Goodness me. Perhaps I need to stop considering him a promising youngster. But things are looking good. Sawanra is in a bit of a moody because he wanted to go to Forest. And I said no. So we're not using him initially, but he is still here if he stops being grumpy. But I think with a couple more additions on deadline day, which we have money to do, I think we've got a very solid chance of a nice, boring mid-table season. And you know what a nice, boring mid-table season means? That there's always the possibility to push for the playoffs. And we love a playoff around here. But I will leave it there for this episode. We will be back on Monday. I believe there's something Christmassy going on in between. So if you celebrate Christmas, have a good Christmas, enjoy some time with your family, all that good stuff. I am going to eat a lot of turkey and a lot of pigs in blankets and have a lovely old time. So I'll probably be looking fluffier when you see me again in the next episode. And we're going to win the league. Well, we're not going to win the league. We're going to try. We need to do some spensies on transfer deadline day. If you have enjoyed that, though, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. The weekend videos will be back in the new year as well. Just been busy. And thank you very much for watching.